Welcome to Doors to Hope and Healing, an inside look at the many facets of work that is happening at the Department of Children and Families, between our staff, the families we serve, and our community partners. My name is Jaqueline Ford. I have had the honor of working for the department for almost 30 years. And although I may be familiar with many of the topics we bring to you, I have invited experts in those fields to help us dispel the myths and misconceptions that can often be barriers to our work. Join us as we open our doors and invite you to have a seat at our table. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Doors to Hope and Healing. I'm usually the one guiding our conversation, but today I'm in a different seat and we're doing things just a little bit differently. Today, Ken, the Bureau Chief from the Department of Children and Families, and my boss, is going to be here to talk to all of you about the work that I do with the Department of Children and Families, the stuff that I do in the community to engage our families and to help our community understand what our department needs are. So with that, I'm going to turn the show right over to Ken, and the show is all yours.
Well, hello, everybody, and first of all, what an honor to have the script here flipped a little bit so we can actually honor and speak to Jackie Ford. Jackie, you have been the host of Doors to Hope and Healing for well over 100 episodes.
Yes.
Now, I've known you personally, professionally for well over a decade and a half. I know how humble you are. I did want to acknowledge a couple things for our viewers because I don't think they know this about you. In 2024, you were actually nominated or received 3 awards. The Fox 61 and the United Way Impact Award, the Shiro Award, and the Next Star 2024 Connecticut Remarkable Women of the Year Award. And recently, an article that you wrote was published in the Chicken Soup for the Soul book, Miracles, Angels, and Messages from Heaven version.
Yes.
What can you tell us about the awards? First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
What was the theme of them? And tell us a little bit about the article that you wrote. And then we're going to get into the olive branch and all the countless other things that you do.
Sure. Well, thank you. So it's never comfortable for me to talk about all
I know,
this
that's
stuff,
why I brought it up.
So I had a feeling that you were going to. So the awards that I had been nominated for and the Remarkable Woman Award for Connecticut, it was actually highlighting the work that I do for the department. Yeah. So I saw that as, although it's not comfortable and, winning awards hasn't always been something that I have been comfortable with, but I saw it as an opportunity to really shed a light on the work that I feel honored to do with the Department of Children and Families.
We know. Yeah.
So it was, focusing on the Olive Branch and the work that the Olive Branch and the TV show and the community center that we have at the department. Yeah. So it focused on that, along with 50 other women from all across our country got together in California.
One of 50.
So, yes. So it was an honor and an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you traveled to California,
yes,
I believe, right?
Yes.
For the awards ceremony. How great.
And it was, and to see all the wildfires right now in that same exact area that we were was very humbling.
Yeah. How about the Shiro Award?
The Shiro Award, again, it was a local award in Connecticut. It was in the shoreline community, and it was for the work that I'm, honored to do with the department with the community outreach.
Yeah. And lastly, the Impact Awards. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I was nominated along with many other people, and there were all different categories. And in my category, it was about impactful women in Connecticut who are doing something a little bit different for the community. So I was nominated for that. I did not receive that award, but I was nominated.
Yeah. So on behalf of all of us at the department, and I'm sure countless viewers that are out there, congratulations on just simply being nominated.
Thank you.
All of this is very well deserved. And I know you probably didn't want me to bring this up, which is why I wanted to bring it up, because I think it's important that you also tell your story. You're a career social worker.
Yes.
How did you get involved in DCF? And then tell us how that evolved into your role as the community outreach coordinator. What drew you here?
So I've been with the department for 32 years now, have worked in all different capacities. And, I am a social worker by heart. Ever since I was in middle school, I knew that I wanted to work for an agency that helped children that were being abused or neglected in some way. And, I've seen our agency evolve over the years into, an incredible agency doing so much work for our families, empowering our families and kids. So I always was drawn to this type of work. And having worked in many facets of the agency, I landed in the Bureau of External Affairs and community outreach. And the other pieces just started to evolve.
32 years translates to 3+ decades,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And been there myself around that same time, and I think we're part of the old guard, so to speak, at the department. I think we are some of the more senior members. Your career's taken you many places, from being an investigator, ongoing services worker, working in foster care. Tell us what your duties are as a community outreach worker, and what community outreach means in the context now of today's DCF.
Well, yeah, so I mean, doing any kind of community outreach work, you have to know the agency or the work that you're doing well enough to be able to promote that understanding for the community. And I think, like you said, having been with the department for as long as we have, we're historians. You know, we know what has happened over the course of all of these decades to change and improve the way DCF does their work. And that we're not just a child placing agency, that we're there to, you know, empower our families, work together with them so that they can be healthy, and that children should remain at home whenever safely possible to do so. So the work that I do in the community is trying to change the lens of how we are seen as a department by others, because you know, when you do this work for so long, you assume everyone knows what you know, and they only know what is in the newspaper. And you especially have had such a role in changing that narrative and how people see us, and having the good stories out there and the good things that our staff are doing. So my work in the community in engagement is to help change that narrative whenever I have the opportunity to be amongst different groups of people, to let them know who we are. And also, I think the biggest privilege I have is helping our community to meet and understand our parents, and that our parents aren't bad people. They're just in a situation that's just uncomfortable at the current time.
I want to stay right on that last point. I think the perception of who we serve, and I do say we serve children and families across Connecticut, I don't think anybody should be judged by their worst day. And we know even more now than ever that there are ills in society that are overwhelming our families, whether it's substance use, untreated mental health issues, prevalence of both family, and community violence. And I think if we continue the work that you're doing to help the community understand who our families are, and most importantly, how the community can support them, everybody becomes better off.
Yes, no doubt about that. And I do believe over the course of the years, people in the community would be touched by the tender stories of foster care, in foster children. And those stories are tender, and they deserve to have a light on them, and those children definitely need to be served by us. But the tender stories are also within those birth families that are working tirelessly to do what they need to do to keep their children with them, or to regain the child in their custody back into their homes. So I think that the work that I do, and the biggest privilege, is getting to know these birth families and then telling their stories in the community so the community understands who they are.
And through their story, you're also telling the DCF story, as I call it. And in one vehicle to do that, a platform, is Doors to Hope and Healing, 100+ episodes. What was the inspiration behind this? How did you get here? How did this all occur?
I think I have to thank Joni here at Nutmeg. We had met during another interaction that I had at the studio, and I told her about the work that we do at the department. And at that time, actually, I was working under you in the foster care division. And I thought what a great idea it would be to have the whole show focus on foster care and adoption, highlighting our foster families and our adoptive families, highlighting the children in the Heart Gallery who need that forever home, talking about how to become a foster and adoptive parent, what the supports are. So the whole show initially, Doors to Hope and Healing, was focused around just foster care. And we had, a lot of content and a lot of families that were able to speak, and and foster kids themselves as well. And then as the years went on, I think that we're now in our maybe 7th year here. I changed positions, and still felt that this television show could reach the community, but in a different way.
Sure.
So in addition to the foster care stories, we're telling all about all of the work that DCF is doing with our staff, with our community partners, and really, educating our community on all of the different things that our department does, which is, I mean, I've even learned so much. And, having been here for as long as I have, the content experts in all of the different divisions are coming and sharing what we do. And again, making sure that our community can be messengers for us, our viewing audience can be messengers for us to say, they don't just put kids in foster care. They do a lot more than that to enrich families.
Excellent. And we recognize we're a large bureaucratic agency, 3,100 employees, mandates of child protection, children's behavioral health, prevention. There's a lot to learn. And I think I, as a DCF veteran, still learn something every day about our department.
Yeah.
Where do you hope Doors to Hope and Healing can go? And then we want to talk a little bit about the Olive Branch, which is a nationally known now hallmark in Connecticut.
Yeah, it is. The show, I just hope it can continue. I mean, this is definitely was out of my element. I always said I'm no Oprah or Ellen, to have this big talk show. But, the staff here have been so supportive of our work and to get those messages out. So I would just love for our show to continue and to be enriched with the content that we have on and be able to utilize different parts of the studio, such as the cooking segments and the green screen, I think that's what it's called, and a living room set. There's so many different ways that we can explore other options at the studio.
And so we want to empower the viewers as well, that if there are topics that you would like to see, please get a hold of Jackie, like Jaqueline.Ford at ct.gov.
Yes.
Forward in those thoughts. And again, we always want to thank Nutmeg, because without them, none of this is certainly possible.
Absolutely.
The Olive Branch Toy Shop received national recognition, smile on your face right away. Really an incredible concept that came to light. How did that get started, and can you explain to the viewers what that does, literally on a daily basis for our families?
Yeah, if I could ever think back to the day that the concept was born and to where we are now, it's really remarkable.
Amazing.
But it was just on a whim. It was the year of COVID, and COVID had really shut everything down that March of 2020. People were starting to come out. Everyone was wearing their masks. People were starting to feel generous, and we were receiving a lot of telephone calls about wanting to help. How can we help this holiday season? I happened to be on my own time in a shopping area in Glastonbury, and I saw a lot of vacant storefronts in this one shopping area. And I sat in my car, and there was a telephone number on one of the vacant buildings. And I said, let me just give them a call and see if they would be willing to donate a space just for the holidays. And we can gather all the donations that we're receiving from all over Connecticut. And my initial thought was just as a storage space, and then we can have social workers come and pick out what they need for their children. So I made that telephone call, and I had reached a woman who was very kind, realtor, I guess was her role at the time, in Florida. And I gave my plea, and she said yes right away. And then I thought, oh no.
Now what are we going to do?
It was December. I said, how am I going to pull this all together? So by, I don't believe in coincidences, so I believe I was meant to meet Jill Berry, state rep from Glastonbury. The very next day, I was seated next to her at an event. And when she said she was from Glastonbury, we became fast friends.
Yeah.
And she helped me develop that idea. So we had this space. We had all these toys that were coming in. It was a huge space of the old Ann Taylor building. We had no furniture, a little bit of heat in the building. And I thought, how about, rather than have DCF social workers come and pick up these toys, I presented the idea to you and the executive team about how about we invite birth families to come in and shop for themselves.
Really doing it different.
A different way to do it.
Dramatically different.
Right.
Yeah.
And have the families come in and shop for themselves and gift wrap, maybe have a little note from Santa on that, and then leave that store feeling, with dignity, empowered that they had a hand in creating joy because our department is very helpful. And as you said, we serve our families, and we will bring toys and unwrapped toys, but it might not be what their children like. And this way they could pick out the color and the interest level their child has. So that's how it initially started. I touched base with a few people that I knew were very generous in the community. Walmart is one of the corporations, and I said, can you help us really build this? And we had live Christmas trees and music, and families were coming in and out. And I asked if I could stay at that donated space through, I think it was Three Kings Day.
Yep.
And then I asked if I could stay through Valentine's Day
Kind of hinted,
Easter.
Hey, help out.
So then it was shared with me that I could stay as long as the space was available.
Was available.
Yeah. So I stayed there. And that's really how the initial story of the Olive Branch was born.
I remember you calling me saying, I have this concept. There's a vacant storefront. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And I'm always so grateful that you and I were able to say, let's just do it. And at the time, it was Commissioner Vanessa Durantes, and I said, what do you think? She said yes. And literally 3 weeks from the phone call to this massive operation, now that served 1,500 kids just last year alone, is amazing. And I've been a part of going to the Olive Branch for a number of events and seeing families. Can you tell us a few of the good news stories? I mean, I can, it's hard to describe the looks on the faces of the families. You know, they have tears in their eyes. They walk out with gifts that they picked out for their kids that they are going to give. Talk about empowerment there. And a feeling of, like you said, increasing self-worth and dignity. But tell us a few good news stories, because I think some of the recipients have actually been on Doors to Hope and Healing as well.
Yeah, they have. I think the most profound way of explaining it to begin with was, we talk about wanting to change the narrative of how the community sees us, but also how our families see us.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I believe that when the families would come in and they'd walk in and they'd be overwhelmed by, all that there was to choose from. But when they'd say DCF sent me here, or I'm here from DCF, I said, I am DCF. This is DCF. We are DCF. And it really took some time for them to kind of connect those dots to say, wow, DCF is actually sharing this support with me directly. So I think that was a great way to partner with our families to show them that we are here to help. We're not going to talk to you about your case. I don't want to know any of the details. The volunteer staff, they don't need to know anything, but what do you think your kids will like? And let me help you around to how things are organized. The Olive Branch became, over the past 5 years, much more than a shopping experience. It became a way for the community members that volunteer in our families to connect, for birth families to connect with one another and have these conversations as they're shopping about, I can't believe I have a DCF case, or, how do you feel about DCF? And
tell me what you do.
And how are you kind of working through this? So it became a way for the community to embrace our families and our families to embrace members of the community and lean on them for help. Because oftentimes when people will call our department, and I'm talking about more the old DCF, how can I help? But I don't want to be a foster parent and I don't want to be an adoptive parent. Is there any other way that I can help?
There you go.
And this is the perfect way to be able to help.
Yeah. And you mentioned Walmart. There's just countless local organizations that have donated. Sister state agencies. I know the Department of Corrections is a fantastic partner. We've had Governor Lamont down a couple times. Lieutenant Governor Susan Beisowitz, I think, has been at the Olive Branch at least once every year, if not twice. And you mentioned Representative Jill Berry. We've also had other members of the Connecticut, delegation, Senator Blumenthal. So all that being said, how can our listening audience, the viewers, get involved to donate games and toys and even clothing and other items to the Olive Branch for our families?
So the great news is that we're open all year now. So we're open all year by appointment. I serve families for birthdays, for quinceanera, prom season, just because they want, and I'll share a few of the tender stories with you as well. But anybody who's watching, and if they're interested in donating, we only accept brand new items. So they have to be brand new, unused. They can email me and I'll set up a time where they can drop off those items. But in addition to being a donor, and we have the local and the state support from different agencies and divisions within different state organizations, even just volunteering their time around the holiday time to be there to help families decide what it is that they should choose, gift wrap that item. That's a great way to step forward. Or if anyone has a connection to a big corporation where they want to, share be a messenger for us and say, as the holidays are coming, we really want, the more I can get at the holiday time, it sustains me in the stock throughout the whole entire year.
Exactly. And we're looking actually to expand the work of the Olive Branch. There's the location in South Glastonbury. We're looking, lower Fairfield County, maybe on the western side of Connecticut, and certainly the eastern side. But when I think families or organizations think of donations, right? It doesn't have to be 500 of something. No. It can be 5. It could be 10. It could be, 3 new outfits for a baby. The point is, these are our families that are intact, that we are supporting as a department. And we know they need tangible and concrete items for their kids throughout the year. We have a whole set of other donations for our children in our care and custody. But the Olive Branch is designed for families that are together, because we know the most stress is occurring right there.
Yeah, and moms will say, I had one mom who was she's kind of funny and always used humor to get through, her circumstances. But she said, if the Olive Branch wasn't here, I might have thought about using again. She had, a drug addiction that she had been clean for quite some time. But she said the holiday time and all of the beautiful magic that goes around a holiday also is a big stressor.
Incredibly stressful.
And I don't think I could have made a Christmas be this much fun for my kids if I didn't have access to the Olive Branch. So the Olive Branch right now, like you said, is open to families that have an open DCF case. So we invite them by appointment to come and shop. Foster families don't use our service because, like you said, there's other services for them. But if they show up at my door and they were referred there, I'm not going to turn them away. But really, it's to support those birth families that are struggling with so many other issues right now that this just alleviates one burden for them. Yeah. And I appreciated what you said earlier, too. I think because this has been running now for 4 years, families have met each other there that have developed relationships and friendships and mutual support. So the Olive Branch is in South Glastonbury, but even before that, you had the vision for a community center, and we have a community center in the Buckland Hills Mall. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that differs a little bit from the Olive Branch? Sure. So the community center in the Buckland Hills Mall, we started that right before COVID happened. So as soon as we were, ready to really fly with that, COVID shut everything down. But now we're back up and running. It initially started out as a information hub to have information about all the different facets of the work that we do available for families to stop in and pick up some of that literature. Now we're kind of repurposing the space to, in addition to sharing information, we also have gently used household items and prom gowns, gently used prom gowns. We are going to be collecting more and more prom gowns so that the children that are in in families, like we said, there are families that are intact and living together, but proms are real expensive. I mean, the dresses, the accessories. So we're going to be collecting prom gowns and tuxedos. And again, families by appointment can email me and we'll have them come in to see if there's a prom gown for them. So the Buckland Hills Mall has donated this space to us, another great partner. We have our own storefront above Barnes & Noble in the Buckland Hills Mall. We're open by appointment there too. And it's, according to this vision, you talk about a vision, I would love to rename the Olive Branch the Olive Tree and just have branches throughout Connecticut. At the holiday time, we did have a lot of families that traveled from every corner of Connecticut. Yeah, that's amazing. But Bridgeport and Danbury, it's a tough drive to get to Glastonbury, but we make it happen. Yeah, and so again, if there are individuals out there that know of sites or, vacant storefronts or buildings where we could establish another olive branch or olive tree, by all means, Jaqueline.Ford, at ct.gov. And I think the theme today is, due to your amazing connections in the community, the vision here is, let's go locally around the state to have places where families can go, where they understand camaraderie, they meet other families, they have the experiences of seeing DCF in a much different light, and they're getting things that they need, but most importantly, that their kids needs. We don't do this work alone. We often say, we're the Child Protective Services agency,
But we're not the Child Protective Services system. That's everybody. That's sister state agencies, law enforcement, schools, but most importantly, our communities. And locally, communities know best what their families need, and we want to hear from people.
And when you ask, they deliver. I mean, no money is exchanged at the Olive Branch, and every single thing is donated by a member of our community.
I think I was there, I forget what year it was, and somebody asked, hey, could you help me bring in some gifts? And they opened the trunk, and I was like, what happened here? And I think their child had done some type of gift drive locally at school. Countless gifts came in, all going into really great hands.
And we're also going to be adding just another little facet of the work is going to be to have a pet food station. So our families who also need pet food can come in there and get pet food or a collar or a pet dish, something to help support the four-legged friends in their community.
Who would have thought? That's awesome. That's really awesome. So what an honor it's been, first of all, for me to call you a friend.
Thank you.
You're an amazing person. And then we move into being able to call you a colleague. The joke is, yes, you work for me, but we know when you're around Jackie for about 5 minutes, the relationship's all mutual, and that's the only way it should be. So congratulations on your incredible work for moving the image of the department in the manner that you did. I think there are thousands of parents and kids across the state that I can speak for to thank you for improving their lives.
Thank you.
And again, we want to solicit donations, ideas on how we can improve as a department, where we can outreach and connect to other places. But congratulations to you for all this incredible work. When we talked the other day and you said, hey, what about guests? I said, my time to interview you because you deserve this spotlight. So I know we're gonna wrap up, but it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's this platform helps us reach the viewers to let them know what we're doing and what our needs are. So, but again, although this has been a privilege and an honor, it's because of your support and the support of our commissioner and our executive team that my crazy ideas can fly. I mean, and I value everyone's input, but I'm so grateful that that trust and that support is offered so that these can fly like they have.
We are so fortunate. We have a commissioner, Jody Hill-Lilly, that supports this work. She's so supported by Governor Ned Lamont, who appointed her. We have great support, both financially and legislatively in many different ways, by the Connecticut legislature, which is, everybody together working towards the same cause. Look at the outcomes.
The
great
outcomes
stuff.
are great. So thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
You bet. You bet.
Thank you for watching Doors to Hope and Healing, and I appreciate Ken for taking the reins today and helping me to share the insight about our show, about the community center in the Buckland Hills Mall, and about the Olive Branch, and just family engagement. It's a pleasure and it's a privilege to work for this department. If anyone wants to learn about how they can help with the Olive Branch and be a part of this journey that we're taking, you can email me. Again, it's Jaqueline, JACQUELINE.Ford@ct.gov. And until next time, I remind everyone that together we can continue to bring hope and healing to our community. Thank you for watching.
Step into our store and discover a stunning array of dancewear. Introducing Dancingly Yours, your one-stop shop for all things dance and delight for ages 2 to 92. From tiny tutus to energetic tap shoes, our store is a treasure trove of dance essentials. At Dancingly Yours, we offer an extensive collection of dancewear and accessories that cater to all styles and levels. We carry top brands and the latest fashion trends. From ballet to hip-hop, lyrical to jazz, ballroom to liturgical, as well as gymnastics, you'll find the best selection right here at Dancingly Yours. But we're not just a store. We're a community that celebrates the joy of dance. Our expert team is passionate about dance, just like you. So we're here to assist you in finding the perfect fit. And the best part, Dancingly Yours offers competitive pricing in-store and online. Dancingly Yours, easy to get to and worth the trip from anywhere, right on Route 10 in Plainville.